The top of the world is fast becoming the planet's next great flashpoint. For generations, the Arctic was a desolate, frozen expanse, a strategic backwater shielded by what seemed like impenetrable ice. But that ice is now melting 3 times faster than the global average, and as it vanishes, the old certainties of global security are melting away with it. As new shipping lanes open up and a treasure trove of untapped resources, from oil and gas to critical minerals, becomes reachable, a new great game for influence has begun. Russia is methodically reactivating a string of Cold War-era military bases across its northern coast, flexing its muscles with nuclear-powered icebreakers and hypersonic missiles. China, calling itself a near-Arctic state, is trying to forge a polar Silk Road, backed by a growing fleet of ice-capable vessels and a research agenda that blurs the line between science and security. The United States is responding, moving its most advanced assets to the high north, scrambling to reassert its influence. But the most decisive and maybe most surprising move in this new Cold War is coming from a nation you might not expect. While the world's superpowers posture and probe, Canada is quietly launching one of the most ambitious military and economic transformations in its history. It's investing a staggering sum, somewhere in the neighborhood of $35 billion, to build a new Arctic shield. This isn't just about defense. It's a bold, calculated power play for control of the resource-rich North. The question is, why now? And can this quiet middle power really become the gatekeeper of the 21st century's most contested frontier? To get why Canada is making this massive investment, you have to understand the huge changes happening in the Arctic. This isn't some far-off problem. It's happening right now, and it's transforming geopolitics in real time. For centuries, the legendary Northwest Passage was a dream for explorers, a treacherous, ice-choked shortcut between the Atlantic and Pacific. Today, it's becoming a seasonal reality. A reliable shipping route through Canada's Arctic archipelago could shave thousands of miles off global trade routes, completely rerouting commerce and challenging choke points like the Panama and Suez canals. For Canada, control of this passage is a matter of national destiny. But the real prize? It's what's under the waves and the thawing permafrost. The Arctic is estimated to hold as much as 13% of the world's undiscovered oil and 30% of its undiscovered natural gas. Even more critical for our modern economy, it's a vast repository of critical minerals, the essential building blocks for everything from electric vehicles and smartphones to advanced weapons. As global supply chains get more fragile and politicized, securing a domestic source of these materials is a top national security interest. Russia, with the world's longest Arctic coastline, hasn't been shy about its plans. It's spent the last decade building or refurbishing at least 19 deepwater ports and 16 airfields along its northern sea route. It's deployed advanced air defense systems, coastal defense missiles, and a fleet of nuclear-powered icebreakers that dwarfs the rest of the world combined. And then there's China. Despite having no Arctic coastline, Beijing has aggressively pushed its way into the region. Through its Polar Silk Road initiative, it's tried to embed itself through investment and scientific research. While the official talk is all about cooperation and climate research, its actions suggest a long-term strategy. Chinese firms have attempted to buy strategic assets, including mines and airports in the region. Its scientific vessels map the seabed and ocean currents, data with obvious dual-use military applications. Recent joint naval and air patrols between Russia and China near Alaskan airspace signal a growing strategic alignment, a pincer movement designed to challenge North America on its own doorstep. The U.S. has hit back by increasing patrols and stationing F-35s in Alaska, pushing allies like Canada to step up. The stage is set, and for decades, Canada's vast, empty north was seen as the continent's soft, vulnerable underbelly. That's about to change. On March 12, 2026, standing in Yellowknife, the capital of the Northwest Territories, the Canadian government unveiled a plan that marks a fundamental break from the country's past. For decades, Canada's approach to the Arctic was defined by underinvestment and a reliance on its powerful American ally. This announcement signaled the end of that era. The roughly $35 billion strategic plan isn't just about patching holes, it's about building an entirely new foundation for Canadian power. As the government put it, Canada will no longer rely on others to defend its Arctic sovereignty. This monumental investment is built on several key pillars, designed to create a layered and resilient defense posture in the North. The first and most expensive pillar will forge the spear tip of this new Arctic shield. A massive chunk of the funding is dedicated to a huge upgrade of key air bases, turning them from sleepy, remote airstrips into hardened forward operating locations, or FOLs. These locations, including Yellowknife and Inuvik in the Northwest Territories and Iqaluit in Nunavut, form a strategic arc across Canada's north. The upgrades are extensive. They involve lengthening and strengthening runways to handle the latest generation of fighter jets, like Canada's new fleet of F-35s, as well as heavy-lift transport and long-range patrol planes. New, modernized hangars will protect these valuable assets from the punishing Arctic climate and potential attack. Secure ammunition and fuel storage will be built, giving these bases the endurance to sustain high-tempo operations for extended periods. This means that instead of scrambling jets from thousands of kilometers to the south, the Canadian Armed Forces will have a persistent presence, able to project power across their entire northern territory. The second pillar provides the logistical backbone. Billions more will create a brand new network of northern operational support hubs. This is the connective tissue of the fortress. Strategically placed in key locations across the territories, these hubs will act as agile, pre-positioned logistical centers. They'll house equipment, supplies, and communications gear, enabling the Canadian military to rapidly deploy forces anywhere in the vast Arctic year-round. If a crisis erupts, a foreign incursion, a downed plane, or a natural disaster, these hubs will act as staging points, dramatically cutting response times. They ensure the spear tip of the FOLs is supported by a tough supply chain, giving Canada the ability to operate independently in the most challenging environment on Earth. This network of bases and hubs is just the beginning of Canada's new grand strategy. It represents a shift from a symbolic presence to a real operational capability. If you're finding this breakdown of modern geopolitics valuable, take a moment to subscribe and hit that notification bell. You won't want to miss what comes next, as we dig into how this fortress is being built not just with concrete, but with fiber optics and raw economic ambition. While the military hardware grabs the headlines, the most visionary part of Canada's Arctic strategy may be what it builds alongside the hangars and runways. For too long, the immense resource wealth of the Canadian North has been locked away, inaccessible due to a near-total lack of infrastructure. This new strategy aims to finally turn that key by investing in dual-use infrastructure. The ultimate goal is the construction of Canada's first overland links to a deep-water Arctic Ocean port. Ambitious projects like the Mackenzie Valley Highway and the Grays Bay Road and Port Project in Nunavut are central to this vision. When complete, these all-season highways would connect the vast mineral wealth of the territories to Canada's national transportation network and, from there, to global markets. This is nation-building on a scale not seen in generations. These corridors would slice through some of the most resource-rich, yet undeveloped, land on the planet, unlocking access to massive deposits of copper, zinc, gold, diamonds, and critical minerals. By building this infrastructure, Canada isn't just making it easier to move troops, it's creating an economic superhighway that secures its own supply chains and positions it as a reliable supplier to its allies. This strategy recognizes a fundamental truth of modern sovereignty. Flags on a map and the occasional military patrol aren't enough. True sovereignty comes from presence, economic activity, and communities connected by reliable infrastructure. In the Arctic, where the population is sparse and the land is vast, these roads and ports are a more powerful statement of control than any single warship. They physically and economically bind the North to the rest of the country, transforming it from a remote frontier into an integrated part of the national economy. This isn't just about extraction, it's about building resilient communities and creating a sustainable economic future in partnership with the indigenous peoples who have called this land home for millennia. A fortress is only as strong as its defenders, and those defenders are only as effective as the tools they're given. Canada's Arctic Plan is part of a wider, systemic rearming of the Canadian Armed Forces. For years, Canada faced criticism from NATO allies for failing to meet the defense spending target of 2% of GDP. The new government has not only pledged to meet that target, but has signaled a much greater ambition. Within defense circles, there is serious talk of pushing spending far higher to reflect the new era of great power competition. This renewed investment is already taking shape. It's part of a broader ambition to completely rebuild and rearm. The billions being poured into NORAD modernization, including new over-the-horizon radar systems and space-based surveillance, are a core part of this. Combined with the purchase of 88 new F-35 fighters, a fleet of P-8A Poseidon maritime patrol aircraft, and advanced air-to-air missiles, it all points to the same conclusion. Canada is building a military that is not only capable of defending its own territory, including its newly fortified Arctic, but of acting as a serious partner on the world stage. This new-look military, equipped with cutting-edge technology, will be the force that mans the walls of the new northern fortress. What we're witnessing is nothing short of a paradigm shift in Canadian identity and strategy. The multi-billion-dollar plan to build an Arctic fortress is the most visible sign of a nation awakening to the harsh realities of a new geopolitical era. It's a comprehensive strategy that weaves together military hardening, logistical endurance, and economic nation-building into a single, cohesive vision. The massive investment to transform remote airfields into hardened forward operating bases provides the muscle. The network of support hubs provides the logistical stamina for independent operations. And the ambition to build dual-use roads and ports provides the economic foundation for permanent sovereignty. This is a decisive move to counter the strategic advances of Russia and China, and to assert unambiguous control over a region vital to Canada's future. For decades, Canada has been comfortable as a quiet, dependable middle power, known more for peacekeeping than for power projection. It has sheltered comfortably under the American security umbrella. But the ice is melting, the world is rearming, and the rules are changing. With this massive gamble, Canada is placing a bold bet that it can no longer afford to be a passive observer of history. The question that remains is a profound one. Is this the moment Canada sheds its old skin and emerges as the unexpected but crucial gatekeeper of the 21st century's most contested frontier? The great game for the Arctic is on, and Canada has just made its move. What do you think of Canada's bold new strategy? Is this a necessary act of sovereignty in a dangerous world, or a costly overreach? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. And for more deep dives into the military megaprojects and geopolitical shifts shaping our world, make sure you are subscribed. Thanks for watching.